Welcome to the Architecture Unbound podcast. Today is another episode of Mel's Musings. I've been having a lot of fun recording these different Mel Musing episodes. We had a series of live interviews for a couple months in a row, and so I think it's fun now to just use this to connect with all of you on a deeper level, a more personal level. Today's episode is actually going to be a life update. So I have some really exciting things going on, and I really want to take the time to share them here today with you on the podcast. This is going to give you a behind the scenes in my life. There's episodes that I talk about briefly what the day-to-day is, but there's been some massive life updates, and I'm just excited to run through how I'm structuring my weeks right now and all the different avenues I'm using to bring in income while I'm on the journey of building up my design freelance business as well as my education aspect of my business. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I am so excited to announce that I got a part-time job. I work at a chiropractor clinic as a front desk girly. Like, I'm literally calling this like my front desk girly era just because I feel so free. Like, it feels freeing to know that I am getting a part-time job for a lot of different reasons, and it's going to support me in my journey of business. So I'm going to be working 10 to 2, Monday through Friday, hopefully. Right now, my schedule is going to be Wednesdays off, so I'll start at 4 days a week and see if I can go up to 5. I want to say 10 to 4, but it's 10 to 2, so it's a 4-hour shift. It's literally perfect for me personally because the last 8 months I've been home, and I'm a very social person. I've always really enjoyed going to the office and being around people and just interacting in the world. So I've really been missing that, and I really like structure, and this is giving me really good structure. Like, I have to wake up, be there at 10, and I'm done by 2, and then I have a whole second half of my day that I can just go into. So that's really exciting, and I'm also going to have the financial stability, right, of having a job like that. With freelance work and education work, there's no real stability right now. Like, everything is so new. I hope one day to just have reoccurring income from those two avenues, but right now, because it's so new, I really need something that is stable so I can focus on building the education and the design freelance services. So when I say design freelance, they're very similar. So freelancing is freelancing for other architects, like I'm drafting for them or modeling for them and helping them in that way. And then design is doing my own small residential projects and using the help of my best friend Emily, who's also been on the podcast. She did an interview actually, I think like around a year ago when she went through her building inspecting courses. She talks a lot about going the building inspector route, and she actually is a building inspector now. She just started in September. So that's really cool to go back and listen to that episode. I'm going to have to get her back on the podcast just to talk about what it's actually like, because before she hadn't taken the job and she sort of waited a little bit, and she just recently accepted a position as a building inspector. So that'll be cool to actually have her back on the podcast. But I'm working with her, and we're going to be doing a lot of smaller residential projects and working with the structural engineer to get our permit drawings and construction drawings reviewed by the structural engineer, and then they stamp the drawings. In the United States, you can't stamp like any big commercial buildings without having your architectural license. So when we graduate college, even though we go through 5 years of schooling, we don't come out with an architecture stamp. We are just technically designers. So there's a whole bunch of hours you have to complete in 6 different categories, and then you take 6 tests, 1 in each category, and then you pass and you become an architect. So I have completed my hours. It was like 3,000 hours total. I have completed those hours. I just have not taken steps to start testing and getting my architecture license. I'm not sure if I ever will. Like, I feel like I will, but not for 5 or 10 years. And it's because in my area, I can do residential design, kitchen design, interior design, and just generally like 3D modeling and doing renderings without needing an architecture stamp and being able to work with structural engineers on those projects. So that's a really exciting avenue. Her and I have been talking about working together for a really long time, and finally we've gotten our first opportunity to do a project together. So that is really exciting. That was one of the big life updates I wanted to talk about. I have just been having so much fun, like setting up our Revit template and everything looking the way we want it to look, our fonts, our annotations, our title blocks, just everything, and just making my Revit template clean and no extra things in it, and setting up things I know I'll be using a lot. And as I go through and model our first project, I'll then create a new template off of the finished project, because I know when I go through, I'm going to be creating view templates and certain views and setting up sheets, and it's going to be the same for a lot of residential projects. And so I'm just going to take the most recent project and always create a new template out of that project. So there is a lot of work I've done in the template, and I know it's only going to get better and better as I use it for our first project, set those things up, and just every time I go in, you load in new families, you find something new on Revit City, and you're like, oh, I want this in every project. It's just great to create new templates after every project, just to keep it the most updated. I am still doing freelance work for other architects because I really like to see and learn how other people are doing things in the industry. I'm under no impression that I'm done learning or that I don't need to learn anymore. No, I do. Architecture is one of those things that you always learn and you're always growing. And keeping freelance jobs while also building like my own design services is really important to me, because I want to see how other architects are doing things, right? Like, I want to learn from them. They're older, they're experienced, and I get to learn how they draft, because they all have their own standards and I adapt to those standards. So I learn different workflows. My main freelance client right now, he does all his work in AutoCAD. So I had to learn his AutoCAD system, his workflows, and I had to be open to that, right? Like, it's not my own design. It's not my own way of doing things. I'm doing work for him. And so that is the difference between the freelance work and the design work that I'm doing independently. So freelance work was cold for 6 weeks. We kind of didn't have everything going on. He has updated me that it's going to be kind of slow the rest of the year. You know, a lot of developers are worried about interest rates right now. He does a lot of commercial work, so that is what's going on. I had 8 hours of work last week, so I probably will have another 8 to 10 hours of work this week. So I have that going on, but it just feels really good to have the set part-time job to rely on for bills and stuff like that. So I can not be as frantic, like, oh my God, is there freelance work this month? Where am I going to get freelance work from? And then the other avenue is my education course, Revit Foundations, and running that and being able to create content and offer one-on-one mentorship for architecture students, and just really focusing on educating people with Revit, showing them what's possible with Revit. And I am so excited to now be doing my own projects so I can use Revit and start to get back into using it and showing you guys what I'm doing. And I'm also going to start a new live series I've decided called Model with Mel, and it's going to be a fun weekly series I'm actually going to do on TikTok, streaming from my phone on TikTok, and it's going to be live screen recorded to YouTube, and it'll live as a replay on YouTube. So if you can't come to the TikTok live, or you can't see exactly what I'm clicking on because it'll be the phone looking at my screen through the camera. You can click on the link and go to the live stream of the screen for YouTube, and the replay of that will be there as well. So I'm really excited to bring back the live Revit modelings under a new name on TikTok exclusively, and then the replay is obviously on YouTube. But I am just really excited because I loved doing those live segments, and then I just fell off doing it and was like, I'm gonna redo it. But like, no, I'm actually going to bring it back, and I'm excited to have it be called Model with Mel because I love alliteration, and that's it. I love alliteration. So those are all big things. I'm so excited. I'm trying to think if there's like any other like life update things. Like I feel like the big things are the part-time job, front desk early era, our first design project. Emily and I are doing that. I get to do it in Revit, got to set up all the standards. I am doing freelance work. It was dead for about 6 weeks, and now we're kind of back to 8 to 10 hours. That's exciting. And the Model with Mel live modeling series on TikTok and YouTube. Those are like the big hitters, and I'm so excited. So yeah, I had my first day today, and I recorded like a little vlog of me while I was driving, and like propped up my phone and just sort of talked. And it's like the worst angle. It's like from like down here, so my chin is just like 7 chins, but it's like a little 4-minute video, and I think I'm gonna update it to TikTok. I think I want to take my TikTok into a little bit of a different direction than my Instagram. I've been feeling a pull to make vloggy, laid back styled content, much like I'd post on an Instagram story, and sharing that as like the behind the scenes of freelance. So anything I post on Instagram, I really want that to be educational, and I'll still share those things on TikTok, but I also want TikTok to be like the like behind the scenes version of me, and like the vlogs and the daily things, and maybe not everything is related to architecture or Revit, but it's still like my story, me, what my days looked like, and maybe taking that style of TikTok and like posting it to my Instagram story just so I can share them like across. That's just a thought. It's just an idea. But I've been feeling like I really want to create content for TikTok in that way. And I really want to like double down on the YouTube channel. So the Model with Mel comes in on the YouTube channel, and I'm getting back into the monthly free Revit workshops where we do a topic every month. That's also going to be on YouTube. That's a private listing though. You have to come onto the email list to get access to the private YouTube playlist of all the monthly Revit workshops. We've done 5 this year, and then I'm doing one in October. So really excited to bring those back. And I am so excited to announce that we're actually going to be uploading all the live recorded video footage from all of our podcast interviews and the solo episodes. So you'll now be able to listen to them on YouTube. You can watch people, like, watch us talk. Some episodes in the beginning that were just me talking, I wasn't recording them. I was doing a style called Walk the Walk, so I was outside recording on my phone and a voice app. But I'm recording on my camera now in my office. I am excited to be posting all the video footage on YouTube. It's going to be dripped out weekly for the rest of the year, and that means we're going to be taking our first break from the podcast. So I'm officially going to be taking a break for the rest of the year. We're going to start off really strong in 2024. I'm going to use the next 3 months of dripping out the old podcast episodes onto YouTube, the videos of them on YouTube, and I'm going to be working behind the scenes, getting interviews, taking down questions from all of you in the audience of what you want to hear me talk about, what you want to know about me, about my life behind the scenes, even just like business stuff, like how did I get into freelancing? How does someone get into freelancing? How do you make a course? How do you pick what you're going to do to make a course? Even stuff like that that isn't necessarily architecture related at its core or Revit related at its core. Feel free to ask me like any of those behind the scenes questions, because I want this space to be that, like the behind the scenes of my life and business, and also like showing you that architecture can truly be unbound through the lifestyle that I'm living, right? Of doing all these unorthodox things to bring in money. Some are architecture related and some are, you know, front desk girly, working to support you while you build something that you really want to do, right? So the behind the scenes of that, also continuing to bring on people in the community that are doing things in the architecture world and always trying to see what untraditional route people have gone, or even traditional routes are always good to hear about people's different experiences at different sizes firms, people who work at firms that do different niches. But I always love the interviews that have people from architecture doing untraditional architecture jobs so that we can really highlight the concept of architecture being unbound, right? You can do an architecture as your degree and then come out and apply it in so many different ways to your best ability, your unique zone of genius, and how to sort of like turn that into a business, right? So I'm excited. I am going to be sad taking a 3-month break, but I know that when we come back in January, you'll have caught up on all the episodes via YouTube, dripping out weekly, and I know that we're going to have some really awesome people on this podcast. We're going to have a lot of different people telling their stories, what they did with their architecture degree, how they like the industry, how they don't like the industry, different opinions up in here, people from different countries. I mean, already if you go back, we've had various different interviews from different countries and people who are already doing different niches in the architecture industry that's untraditional. So you'll see over the next few months dripping out all those old episodes if you've missed them. And we're gonna kick off strong with season 2 in 2024. Thank you so much for being here. If we aren't already connected on Instagram, it is architecture_unbound, and we can connect there over the next 3 months while the podcast is on a sabbatical.